Hello, welcome to my channel, Nomad's Land Studios. My name is Rebecca, and today I will be reading for you a selection of poems by Lewis Carroll. How doth the little crocodile improve his shining tail, and pour the waters of the Nile on every golden scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spreads his claws, and welcomes little fishes in with gently smiling jaws. Facts. Were I to take an iron gun and fire it off towards the sun, I grant 'twould reach its mark at last, but not till many years had passed. But should that bullet change its force, and to the planets take its course, 'twould never reach the nearest star, because it is so very far. Horrors. Methought I walked a dismal place, dim horrors all around. The air was thick with many a face, and black as night the ground. I saw a monster come with speed, its face of grimliest green, on human beings used to feed, most dreadful to be seen. I could not speak, I could not fly, I fell down in that place. I saw the monster's horrid eye come leering in my face. Amidst my scarcely stifled groans, amidst my moanings deep, I heard a voice, "Wake, Mr. Jones, you're screaming in your sleep." Jabberwocky. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gear and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manscome foe he sought. So rested he by the tumtum tree, and stood awhile in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through, the vorpal blade went snicker snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. "And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O frabjous day, calloo callay," he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gear and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogoves, and the mome raths outgrabe. A Sea Dirge. There are certain things, as a spider, a ghost, the income tax, gout, an umbrella for 3, that I hate. But the thing that I hate the most is a thing they call the sea. Pour some salt water over the floor. Ugly, I'm sure you'll allow it to be. Suppose it extended a mile or more. That's very like the sea. Beat a dog till it howls outright. Cruel, but all very well for a spree. Suppose that he did so day and night. That would be like the sea. I had a vision of nursery maids. Tens of thousands passed by me, all leading children with wooden spades. And this was by the sea. Who invented those spades of wood? Who was it cut them out of the tree? None, I think, but an idiot could. Or one that loved the sea. It is pleasant and dreamy, no doubt, to float with thoughts as boundless and souls as free. But suppose you are very unwell in the boat. How do you like the sea? There is an insect that people avoid, whence is derived the verb to flee. Where have you been by it most annoyed? In lodgings by the sea. If you like your coffee with sand for dregs, a decided hint of salt in your tea, and a fishy taste in the very eggs, by all means, choose the sea. And if, with these dainties to drink and eat, you prefer not a vestige of grass or tree, and a chronic state of wet in your feet, then I recommend the sea. For I have friends who dwell by the coast. Pleasant friends they are to me. It is when I am with them I wonder most that anyone likes the sea. They take me a walk, though tired and stiff. To climb the heights I madly agree, and after a tumble or so from the cliff, they kindly suggest the sea. I try the rocks, and I think it cool that they laugh with such an excess of glee, as I heavily slip into every pool. that skirts the cold, cold sea. The Walrus and the Carpenter. The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. He did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright. And this was odd, because it was the middle of the night. The moon was shining sulkily, because she thought the sun had got no business to be there after the day was done. "It's very rude of him," she said, "to come and spoil the fun." The sea was wet as wet could be. The sands were dry as dry. You could not see a cloud, because no cloud was in the sky. No birds were flying overhead. There were no birds to fly. The Walrus and the Carpenter were walking close at hand. They wept like anything to see such quantities of sand. "If this were only cleared away," they said, "it would be grand. If 7 maids with 7 mops swept it for half a year, do you suppose," the Walrus said, "that they could get it clear?" "I doubt it," said the Carpenter, and shed a bitter tear. "Oysters, come and walk with us," the Walrus did beseech. "A pleasant walk, a pleasant talk, along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4, to have a hand to each." The eldest oyster looked at him, but never a word he said. The eldest oyster winked his eye, and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed. But 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd because, they hadn't any feet. 4 other oysters followed them, and yet another 4, and thick and fast they came at last, and more and more and more, all hopping through the frothy waves and scrambling to the shore. The Walrus and the Carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they rested on a rock, conveniently low, and all the little oysters stood and waited in a row. "The time has come," the Walrus said, "to talk of many things, of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot, and whether pigs have wings." "But wait a bit," the oysters cried, "before we have our chat, for some of us are out of breath, and all of us are fat." "No hurry," said the Carpenter. They thanked him much for that. "A loaf of bread," the Walrus said, "is what we chiefly need. Pepper and vinegar besides are very good indeed. Now if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed." "But not on us," the oysters cried, turning a little blue. "After such kindness, that would be a dismal thing to do." "The night is fine," the Walrus said. "Do you admire the view? It was so kind of you to come, and you are very nice." The Carpenter said nothing but, "Cut us another slice. I wish you were not so deaf. I've had to ask you twice." "It seems a shame," the Walrus said, "to play them such a trick, after we've brought them out so far and made them trot so quick." The Carpenter said nothing but, "The butter's spread too thick." "I weep for you," the Walrus said. "I deeply sympathize." With sobs and tears he sorted out those of the largest size, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes. "Oh, oysters," said the Carpenter, "you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again?" But answer came there none, and this was scarcely odd, because they'd eaten every one. Rules and Regulations. A short direction to avoid dejection by variations in occupations and prolongation of relaxation, and combinations of recreations, and disputation on the state of the nation, in adaptation to your station, by invitations to friends and relations, by aviation of amputation, by permutation in conversation, and deep reflection, you'll avoid dejection. Learn well your grammar, and never stammer. Write well and neatly, and sing most sweetly. Be enterprising, love early rising. Go walk of 6 miles, have ready quick smiles, with lightsome laughter, soft flowing after. Drink tea, not coffee, never eat toffee. Eat bread with butter. Once more, don't stutter, don't waste your money, abstain from honey. Shut doors behind you, don't slam them, mind you. Drink beer, not porter, don't enter the water till to swim you are able. Sit close to the table, take care of the candle, shut a door by the handle. Don't push with your shoulder until you are older. Lose not a button, refuse cold mutton. Starve your canaries, believe in fairies. If you are able, don't have a stable with any mangers. Be rude to strangers. Moral: behave. The Mad Hatter's Song. Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you're at. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle.